Hey, good everybody. Still here for the Daily Market Pulse. It's Thursday now. It's the last day of the month of July, July 31st, and stocks are tumbling pretty rapidly. We had a 2 to almost 300 point decline on the Dow. Everything tumbling quite high in volume, quite substantially higher than yesterday. So at this point, I'm putting this as a market in correction. I'm leaving the distribution day count up there for now. Usually I wipe those out because it doesn't really matter anymore until we have the reversal. But I'm gonna see if they bounce right away. Maybe they come out of this thing quickly. But so for now, I'll just leave that there. Um, and the Dow Jones looks a little bit, well, I may not have it, but it's essentially, you don't see the candle, but it's dropped all the way back into the pivot area near 16.7 at this point. It's dropped, well, more than that. That's 180 points. It's dropped like 200 some points. It's like down to 6.6 essentially is where it is. In fact, if you look at the Dow Jones futures, I'm going to bring that up real quick here. You're going to be able to see just what kind of a action that was. You'll see the decline, and you'll see an even larger decline. So there it is. Now there's a lower shadow. Now I'm okay. Hang on a second. I'm a little surprised at that. So there's a little bit of a bounce that occurred near the bottom here, 16,533. Of course, naturally. Okay, well it's not refreshing itself, but 16,533. So it's all the way down. So that lower shadow is inaccurate. It's all the way down into this area through here. So it's down into that next sort of right in here, essentially is where it is right now. Right around there. It's actually a little bit lower than that even. So it's below the 50 and then probably shooting for something similar to this area right here is what I'm looking for. In here is what I'm looking for support area for the Dow right now. That's for the futures, of course. I should show you. So there's the decline of the S&P. Next pivot area is 1920, 1925. Lower channel area, lower pivot area, window area as well. A little bit of room still to the downside. It's clearly an oversold. It happened very quickly. So that's that. NASDAQ kind of did the same thing. It gapped lower and then right into the 50-day moving average. It could go lower than that still, which could be somewhere between here and the 200-day moving average. Hard to say where, but certainly 4,300 as a round number and a former rising window would make the most sense. That would be right across here. I'm going to get rid of some of these here so that we don't get further confused. And that's where we are in there. Then the TSX finally did fall apart after this multiple green candles to the upside and a rise. It finally did fail. There it is below the 8 moving average into the 20. Pivot area right across, approximately right here. So we're looking, that's right where the support is right now, 15,270 approximately, but there's still room down to the 50-day moving average near 15,000. The DAX, no doubt, did the same thing. DAX drops below 9,600, flushes right into 9,400, 200-point drop, which is a measured move based on the original box formation from 9,800 to 10,000. Room still to 9,200, possibly lower. U.S. dollar generally, when markets are dropping, it rises even higher. So now it's into 109. That's yesterday's candle. As of it actually, based on this move, it actually went a little bit sideways, I believe, but it might have gone higher. See, 109.01. Hit 109.35 almost and came back to 109 even, so that's about right. So after a big, several green candles, it's just kind of pausing near this pivot area. Essentially, the euro generally will go with the markets, which is lower. It still has room to 133 and a quarter. Treasuries, oddly, were down aggressively with the markets, but have bounced since with that lower shadow off the 50-day moving average above 137, looking for a bounce back in toward 138 plus, almost 139. Japanese yen, oddly, has been not following the treasuries, but seems like it's finding support here across 97 and a quarter, 97.50. Gold and silver are not acting as any kind of a safe haven right now at all, but although this is setting up for a possible bounce, and it could happen as early as tomorrow perhaps, but certainly any kind of a flush through 1280 would take you much, much lower to 1240, but right now I'm looking for this to hold the 50, the 200, and then bounce back up a little bit higher. So there's gold sitting at about 1285 right now with a little bit of room to 1280. Silver in the same vicinity, same area, testing the 200 and the 50-day moving average as well, looking for a bounce back toward 21. Crude gapped severely to the downside on a gap down. So it gapped lower below 100, the century mark, right into 99, and actually dipped all the way into 98. There's a pivot area across here now, right here. That's where it's finding support for now. The next level takes you all the way back toward 96 next, right here, and overbought as well. Small caps looking a lot like this. Small caps all the way flushing with a falling window into 111 with room even lower still into 109, 108. But right now looking for support right here. Chances are it drops even further on a big flush with a correction in our MITS. And that tells us that the VIX really climbed earlier about about a half hour ago to 40 minutes ago. It was about at 16. It has since risen to 17 and looking for 18 likely as the next target area on the upside. VIX aggressively moving, forming that right side of a cup, almost like a rounded bottom-like formation. Aggressively came up, came back to retest moving averages. The crossover, the golden cross occurred, and it thrusted higher.